Hello, my name is Jin'taan, or as it's properly pronounced, Jin'taan, and I'm going to be here to try and do a different style of video to my last one. Rather than just having some good music and some dank frags, I'm going to try and talk about some of the ships I'm using, why I use them, and how to use them in hopes that people can kind of take this and go off and try it themselves. So the first two ships I'm going to be trying this for are the Maulus Navy issue and the Astero. These are ships that I love just because of how relatively easy they are to fly and because they fit my own personal skill set as a drone specialised pilot. Thanks Ishtars. As you can probably tell by the footage playing in the background, we're going to be starting with the Maulus Navy issue. This ship is almost entirely designed with faction warfare in mind. It has a very strong scram bonus, which allows it to catch both perplexed farmers and people who are trying to kite you at just outside of scram range. And alongside that, it has absolutely oodles of fitting room, so you can fit pretty much whatever you want there within reason. The fit I personally use chooses to sacrifice a little bit of DPS and just fit dual nukes along with injector and double reps. As with quite a lot of active armor tanked frigates, it's best to have a buffer in your hull tank to stop people from just volleying through you. You can see this very clearly in the fight going on here, as whilst the Republic Fleet Firetail can do almost my entire armor buffer in one concentrated volley by simply timing and staggering my reps correctly and having the aforementioned buffer, we can effectively sit there and tank his DPS, which combined with a nicely timed scram nets us a nice little kill. The second fight here pits us off against two Tristans. This is a fairly common occurrence in faction warfare. You'll typically find groups of 2 to 3 frigates just sitting in a complex trying to get a fight or even capping the point. Here, one member of the group attempts to bait out my drone so that he can kill him and slowly disarm me. It's important when flying the Maulus Navy that you don't let this happen to you, as you only have 2 sets of drones, so losing even 1 or 2 can potentially put you at a huge disadvantage just due to you no longer having the same damage types or choice of speed in your drones. The best way to avoid this is to only use your drones on people that are coming either directly towards you or you've already tackled. As you can see here, I pull my drones away from the first Tristan as I notice that the second one is going to be coming in with its MWD on. I wait for him to be on a path that will take him close enough that I will likely get a scram before engaging my drones. Now, I recognise that I cannot permanently tank 2 Tristans. However, I feel it's likely that I will be able to kill 1 Tristan and then get away. As such, I try and conserve my capacitor as much as possible, only using my nukes just as I'm about to inject. This means that I never have to miss a single rep cycle and I can effectively stagger my reps. All the while, I try and keep an orbit up on the Tristan to mitigate what little damage I possibly can from their weapon systems. All the while, I'm trying to manage my heat as effectively as I possibly can. That doesn't just mean overheating my things until they're about to burn out and then stopping the heat. That means making a conscious decision as to when it is most beneficial for me to overheat my individual mods, and also my mods within a certain rack. For example, right at the start, I overheat my scram to get the initial point, which is a good use of mid-slot heat. Similarly, I only heat my reps when I'm in danger of hitting hull, as this helps me to conserve the buffer tank that I have. This keeps the Tristans chipping away at my tank as I slowly whittle one of them down. It's worth noting that if I'd actively seen them repping, either via a small Ancillary rep or an ASB, I would have used my nukes more judiciously. This next fight is just a perfect example of how powerful nukes can be, and also just how close frigate warfare can be and why I enjoy doing it. I will note, however, that it uses a different fit to the other two, and it's not going to be the one that I link in the description of this video, and I generally think it's a bit worse than the one I've been using in the other 2 fights. However, if you prefer gank to tank, then definitely give it a try. I will note that I do make some serious mistakes during this fight in that I don't overheat my nukes, and the first cycle of my Ancillary rep is not heated. That's one of the reasons why I find frigate fights so endearing. You only have a couple of seconds to rectify any possible mistakes you might have made, which really helps to level the playing field when you're a newer player, or just someone who isn't as experienced in solo PvP. So whilst hard counters do exist, they're not as effective as they are in other ship classes. It's effectively just a contest of who makes the least mistakes, and whilst not picking your fights correctly is a mistake, it certainly doesn't mean that you automatically lose. The next ship I'm going to be talking about is the Astero. This ship is much the same as the Maulus Navy issue, however, it trades some of the utility that you get on the Maulus Navy for pure tank. You can see some of this in action in the clip in the background, wherein I tank 2 excellently piloted kiting frigates for almost half an hour. But in general, the same kind of rules that apply to the Maulus Navy do apply to the Astero. The main difference, however, is that you lack the newts of the Maulus Navy and the catch potential that the Maulus Navy's Scram bonus gives you. And whilst it is possible to use the same hull tanking buffer techniques that we use with the Maulus Navy issue, it's generally better to focus on the actual tanking, as this works better with the resist bonus attached to the hull. In return for this, however, you do get what is effectively a cruiser level of tank, along with increased DPS, and thanks to both its HP bonus to drones and an extra flight, a significantly more resilient weapon system, all the while having an extra mid slot to allow you to fit a web, which will allow you to control the range of fights much better than you can with the Maulus Navy, allowing you to keep close range ships like the Federation Navy Comet at arm's length, or long-range ships like the Imperial Navy Slicer at close range. All these factors work together to give you a ship which, whilst innocuous due to the fact that it's normally seen in an exploration role, but can still punch up and well above its own weight class. In fact, as long as you're smart and manage your transversal correctly, you can even fight and win against destroyers. Though obviously you'd be able to do it a lot cleaner than I did if you managed your heat better. My short guide to my 2 favourite members of the Frigate Menace. If you have any comments or suggestions regarding this format of video, please make sure you send them on, as I'd be really interested to hear what people enjoyed and didn't enjoy. But as always, fly smart and ruin someone else's day.